Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bravo Tea with a Stay-at-Home Mom. I'm Erica, and I'm ready to talk all things Bravo.
Welcome back, everybody. And on this episode, we're going to have a two-parter. Finally, we are going to discuss the premiere of The Real Housewives of New York, and then we're going to recap The Real Housewives of Orange County. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it's weird hearing them say, oh, season 15 premiere of Real Housewives of New York, when it's like, it's kind of like season 2. Because yes, it is called The Real Housewives of New York, but they totally recast it. So I get why it's still called The Real Housewives of New York, and I understand why they're technically saying we're on season 15. But to me, it just feels like we're on season 2. And the gloves are off. I mean, I thought the first episode was great. They've all, had their little squabbles last season, but nothing that terrible, because Uba and Erin's disagreement last season on that vacation from her taking her phone as a prank, that I knew we were going to get past that. Obviously, Uba was a little overreactive and really upset at the moment, but this season, I can already tell it's going to be like, no, gloves are off. You said stuff behind my back, off camera, interviews. All these people are getting in so much trouble with each other because of them going on podcasts. So we're going to get into it when we discuss that part. But to me, it's like between the social media and the podcast, they're all just talking about each other. And it's just like, you need to just get over it, because at some point, I feel like we in real life are actually talking about our friends sometimes behind their back, not necessarily always mean, but just gossipy. And these people act like, oh my God, I can't believe you'd say that. It's like, well, everyone would probably still say all these things. We're just seeing it on camera, so you would definitely know they said it. I mean, not to set paranoia in everyone and think everyone's talking about you and your friends and whatnot, but we all do gossip. We are all guilty of that. But these ladies, it's just everything's on tape. So we're going to the tapes and always seeing it play back. And that's why also, may I just say before we get into it, you should never deny saying anything, especially if it was on camera, because we're just going to roll the tapes back from the producers when they do you dirty in the cutting room. 6 months later, when they edit your show, we're all going to see that you said or did that. So just own up to it in the moment, and then it'll soften the blow, because that's what would make me mad too. If I'm asking you, did you say this? You say no. Then 6 months later, I see you said it. I'm even more mad all over again. So let's just get into it. So we open up. It says June 25th, 5 days after filming. So it's like flashbacks of Uba and Brynn fighting. And they are all meeting at a studio to take their cast photo for the season. We won't know what happened, but it's like they did it after this fight. And you know what it kind of reminded me of? On The Real Housewives of New Jersey, was it season 3, I guess, because it was when Melissa was on and it was Strippergate. So was that season 3 or 4? But it was when they had just filmed, and then the next night they were filming the reunion for the previous season, which is crazy, and Jacqueline didn't come. Okay, so that's what I think it was. I think they were just wrapped season 4, but they were doing season 3 reunion, and Jacqueline didn't even come because she was so upset. So this is like that. They've wrapped filming for the new season, but they're taking pictures, and this is like the first thing we see of the season. So I really can't wait to see. And I know that's why they're doing it, teasing us for the whole season. So we watch the whole season. Uba and Brynn fighting, because it seems real bad. And Brynn seemed like she was like the fun one last season, but I feel like she's got beef in every avenue with every single cast member now on this show. But she moved, and she said it's because she expanded her family, and she's like, I got a dog, and the dog's so cute, and her new apartment's cute, but moving, not fun in New York. So no, she is not physically lifting everything, but these men are all mad at her because they're like, excuse me, miss, this couch is not going to fit through this doorway. You're crazy. And she's like, the other guy fit the other piece and it was a lot bigger. You just don't want to do it. You can tell me that. She's like, you don't want to go up like 5 flights of stairs or something, she said. Oh my God. But it has to be a bitch moving there. So I've never lived in New York, but when I was in Philly in college, just the apartment I lived in, I was like, what, on like the 20th floor or something? Yeah, just getting the furniture in this little ass door. And then there's like walls. You don't want to like bust through all the walls. It has to be a bitch. But she's like, moving is not fun. It's all these sweaty guys judging all your shit. And I have 16 boxes of thongs. That's basically what she said. So obviously she's just having everyone move everything for her. Hopefully she didn't label the box like Brynn's thongs, because all 16 boxes might have not made it in. She should have made sure and checked that if she labeled them. But her brother comes in and she's like, I just really want him to move back to New York. So he lives out of the country, I think they said. I was like half paying attention when he was talking, because also I'm like, whatever. Like, we really focused on him, I feel like, this episode. And I'm like, I know they film with their family. I guess it's just different, because I'm like, no, like, I want to know about her dating life. I mean, I suppose she's single and or just going on random dates, but I want to get to know their husbands. These are the people we care about the most, not really the siblings, honestly. But she said her inspo for the living room was balls in your face. And he's holding a fluffy, like, ball-shaped pillow. There is a ball leg of the coffee table, and there is ball, like, lighting. So it's just round, but she said balls. And then we get Pavitt and Jessel. They alone could have their own show. I think they're so funny, because I think last season people were like, oh, you're being mean to him, but it's just like their banter. Like, yeah, do I think she's being like a little annoying sometimes to him, or like putting him on the spot? Yeah, but don't we all? I mean, she's not doing anything else everyone else isn't. And if they're not doing it, they're at least thinking it. And Jessel just has the balls, as Brynn would say, for her inspo of the living room, to actually say it to Pavitt. So he's taking her out on the town for a date, but obviously in Jessel's mind, they're going to go somewhere like fancy, and she's dressed up fancy. They get on the subway. She said she has been on the subway about 2 times, which is wild, because yes, the subway feels so overwhelming and confusing. But if you live there, I don't even know how you don't take the subway often, especially if you go far away. Like, if you're just going to a restaurant down the street, thank God for Uber now. Like, when I was in college, Uber did not exist. So yes, we were taking cabs, and that was really expensive. But now Uber is controlled in the price. And I'm sure it's a lot more in New York than obviously it is around here. Or even if, like, I still visit my friends in Philly and we take an Uber, it's reasonable. But up there it could be more. But I mean, she said she spent $990 last month on Uber. It's like, girl, you need to learn to use the subway, because Pavitt is just like conditioning her in real world things right now. So he's taking her down to Chinatown. And she said the last time she was down here is when she bought her fake bags. Also love that she's saying that and admitting that. And then she's saying, like, yeah, you know, my Fucci and my Prado bags. And I'm like, haven't we all been there, done that? The guys walk around with the like black tarp. They quickly lay everything down on the street because this is illegal. And you'd be like, oh, okay, I want that. And then, like, you'd always haggle. I mean, always, because this is cash. And they'd be like, oh, give me $50. You'd be like, oh my God, I only have 2 20s. And they'd be like, all right, fine. And then they like swoop up the tarp and like run away. But I just love that she said that was the last time she was down there getting the fake bags. And then he's like, maybe we could just buy those instead. Like, Pavitt, you could tell they have money, obviously, but you could tell he's just like cheap. He's a cheap, rich person, which is so funny. But she's not cheap. She's like, nope, we have made it now. I'm going to spend this money, honey. But they go into a restaurant that obviously she was not expecting. It's called Carol's Buns. And Pavitt is exploring into the world of influencing food, because last season he was like nailed to the cross for saying that he flies to Thailand just to get the Thai food and then flies right back. And everyone's like, what? And he's like, yeah, but I have points, so it's like free. And I actually like flying. And that's like a really freaking long flight. So that was just so funny. But now I love that he's turned lemons into lemonade, and he's making something about it. And he's basically like a food influencer. And obviously, it's going to piggyback her being in the Bravo universe. I'm sure people are paying attention to him. My husband literally, like on TikTok, will watch the things I send him and people eating. And I'm like, oh, we'll be like sitting just watching TV. And if we're on our phones, I like look over and I'm like, ew, what are you watching or listening to? Because it's like people like, and I'm like, no, what is that noise? And it's people eating. And he's like, this girl has 1 million followers and look at all the likes she has. And she's just eating. He's like, should we start doing that? And I'm like, no, because it's weird and annoying. And they're usually eating like junk food too. Like, I'll start a cooking one because we cook a lot. I could like battle with Melissa and Teresa. We should get into that at the end too, because that's funny. But Jessel said the way that Pavitt looks at fried chicken is better than the way he looks at her, which is so funny. So I guess influencing food is just like perfect for him. But then she's just telling him that he needs to make more of an effort and they need to start planning trips together. And she's like my birthday is coming up. And he's like, oh, I'm sure Carol has a back room here. Like, just love his freaking humor. And just like, obviously, she wouldn't want to have her birthday there at some like bun restaurant in Chinatown. Like, maybe he could rent the back room of Carol's buns and then buy her all the fake Prado and Fucci bags in Chinatown that she wants. But then she brings up the fact that they are paying to store embryos in Beverly Hills, which so she. And they really need to figure out what they're going to do with it. And as we remember from last season, her 2 kids were like always screaming, crying, giving them a lot of headaches. So I feel like Pavitt's like, I don't want more children. You're like crazy. And their lifestyle is very expensive. I remember last season too, they were talking about like preschool and stuff. They're like, she's like, oh, it's like $30,000 a year. But Pavitt, it's like they're going to be rubbing elbows with like Surrey Cruise. And it's like, okay, like $60,000 a year for preschool. And then you're going to have another one, $90,000 a year for them to finger paint. And I think that's what he said too. He's like, we're paying all that for them to finger paint. So he knows, he gets it. But he said that he really doesn't like no. And then she said, well, what if we have the next Beyonce or Elon Musk? And he said, I don't need a Beyonce, but I'll take an Elon Musk. Now, I wonder if he got a little flack for that. So that is a little sexist. But I think he just, maybe I'll spin it in a nice way. He's like, doesn't want someone in an entertainment industry maybe, and he would rather have an inventor. I don't know. I can't save you that much on that one, Pavitt. Probably shouldn't have said that, but I can't really see them having another child just because, like I said, their life, the expense, but that is sad if they are paying to store those embryos and they don't do anything with them, because I also don't even know what you do with them. Storing them, and then it's like, what do they throw them out? I don't know. Nobody get mad at me for like being ignorant to like what they do with it, but I really do wonder if she called him like, no, we actually don't want to use them. Well, what do you do with them? But then Uba and Erin meet up for lunch and we get the appearance of Rebecca Minkoff. Now, I am 33, so anybody else in my age range, when we were in college, were those bags not the shit? I was obsessed with them. The score would be if you were just shopping at TJ Maxx and you happen to stumble upon one, I would get so freaking tickled to death. If there was 2 colors, I bought both colors. Now all of my bags are on Poshmark, I will say. If anyone wants to head over to my Poshmark and buy all my Rebecca Minkoff bags. No, but I did keep 2, tried and true. I have this black one that has like little, I don't even want to call them studs. They're like nubs almost. So we'll call them nubs instead of studs. But it's like black, kind of looks like, so it's black quilted like Chanel and has like little nubs. And it's like a good size because it's not too small, but it's not too big. So it's a good, I still use it occasionally for going out. I can't part ways with it because I just feel like it's a timeless classic. And then I have this other like pinkish peachish one, which is like cute for like when we go to the shore and stuff. And again, not too big, not too small. It could fit my phone and some stuff in. So it's like good for going out to eat down there because I don't like to bring big bags. And sometimes, like, if we go to the boardwalk right after, I don't want to bring like a crazy expensive one. So I keep those two hanging on. But Brynn made a mean comment later to her brother, and she was like, yeah, you would like know Rebecca Minkoff if you ever shop at like Nordstrom Rack. And I'm like, damn, bitch. I mean, at least she had a line, and I loved her stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock her stuff and saying that I'm now selling it all on Poshmark. It's just things change and styles change. Like, I just don't want to use them anymore. And sometimes they sit there and I'm like, ugh, should I get rid of it? It is still a cute bag and it is still nice. But I'm like, no, I'm trying to make room for new bags, keep up with the times. But I was obsessed with her purses, had an amazing pair of flip flops from her too that had like nubs on them again, not studs, nubs. But she is friends with Erin and they literally look alike. I feel like they could be sisters a little bit or like at least cousins and related. But Uba is just expressing that since she's getting older, she is thinking about having kids and she's really happy with her boyfriend. So this is the same boyfriend from last season that she was like freaking out that like people were going to like expose. I don't know why. That was kind of weird. But then Erin is just talking about Brynn having like the get together. So it's like Brynn is saying she's having a get together, but it's like, AKA, you guys all have to get together and film a scene together for the first episode. So Brynn is saying she's hosting a get together. And Erin says she has not seen or talked to Brynn in a while. So it's like, dun, dun, dun. And then we pan to Jessel, Brynn, and Jenna meeting to pick out a table for Brynn for her kitchen. And I know we already saw scenes of Jessel, but I think she got new teeth. This is when I thought she did, because when they were in the furniture store, they were all freakishly white, freakishly the same size. Just didn't look like that last season, but now I'm trying to remember. Maybe it did, and maybe I'm crazy and I don't remember. So I do need to do my research and just see if she got new teeth now or she always had those teeth. But Brynn is just telling them how Erin went on Jeff Lewis and alluded to Brynn almost being like a sugar baby. And obviously she's not happy about that. But then when they show the flashback, she's not alluding to it. Jeff Lewis is. And we all know Jeff Lewis is messy. And he does this to the Bravo girls when he gets them in the radio station. Usually they end up not saying anything. He asks the messy question and he answers it himself. So he's like, do you think someone's helping her financially? And Erin's like, no. And she's like, why do you? And Jeff's like, yeah, I do. Like, meaning like, what do you do to have this lifestyle? You don't have family money because we know Brynn's background story. She doesn't have a man to help her. And yeah, what does she kind of do for work? I mean, she doesn't really talk about it. And hey, that's fine. Like Sai even said in one of her confessionals that she used to be a sugar baby. And she's like, get it, girl. Get your bag. That's what she said, I think. And then Jessel was like, I just recently got an email. I love her accent. She's like, I just recently got an email from a billionaire's assistant requesting that I show up on a private jet in a thong and a white t-shirt. She's like, but I'm married and have kids. But if I wasn't, I would do it. And I'm like, oh my God, it's just so funny. Like, I get why Brynn would be like offended. They're not calling you a prostitute though. They're just kind of insinuating you perhaps get with rich men, which her ex-fiance was rich, but he wasn't like 80 years old in a wheelchair or anything, not like an Anna Nicole Smith situation. He was her age and he was cute. But it is weird. She's always single and she always has like nice things. It is, just tell us what you do then, girl, if you're like bothered. But then Erin is in a little hot water with Jenna Lyons. So they are talking about this situation at both sit downs, and both are so different. So Jenna and Erin in the summer were in the Hamptons and they were out to lunch. And then Jenna's car broke down in the Hamptons before they were going back to, or before she was going back to the city. And Erin offered to put her in an Uber back to the city and she never paid her back. So it's like a $250 Uber, Erin claims. And then Brynn is spinning the story telling Jenna, Yeah, she told me she was having like money, or that you were having money problems and blah, 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 blah. And your hoopty car broke down. I love that she said the word hoopty. And it's like vintage Mercedes, so it's not hoopty. And Erin, in her confessional, was like, I am well aware that Jenna and her $10 million loft in the city and $5 million beach house is not having money problems. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to go with Brynn putting a spin on it. Like, Erin was probably being a little gossipy, a little catty, told them, oh my God, Jenna like broke down. I had paid for her Uber. She didn't even pay me back. Can you believe that? She's in anything, I feel like Erin was being like, can you believe she didn't pay me back? She's so rich. She could pay me back. Like, I think Brynn is twisting it to Jenna because I feel like she's like her little pet. Like, I feel like Brynn is obsessed with Jenna and wants to pretend like they could be lesbians together, but it's like, you're not a lesbian. And Jenna actually now has a girlfriend. It's a little strange, but I do feel like she's twisting it. And then Jessel is kind of just sitting there being like, yeah, I don't really think she did that. Like, who knows? Maybe she's telling a joke, which obviously. But then Sai and Jessel meet up and they go in the cold plunge. And I swear by cold plunging, I just was cold plunging today at our gym. I love it. I still get like back pain just from bending over with my daughters. And just, I feel like I have a little bad posture. I have to remind myself to like sit up straight. I feel like when I sleep at night, my shoulders are like all hunched and up to my neck, which I can't help. But I love the cold plunge. I think it helps a lot because cold shrinks the inflammation we have in our body versus some people are like, oh, my back's sore. I want to get in the hot tub or get a hot shower. And it may feel good at the moment, but it actually just increases the swelling and the inflammation of the pain you're having. So if people are thinking about trying cold plunging, I'm telling you, do it. It works wonders. Even if like just your foot hurts, just stick the foot in. But they dive all the way in the cold plunge, and that's what I do. And Sai was like, no, it's good. It'll make us lose weight. And Jess was like, I don't feel any skinnier. And they're in there for like 3 minutes, which is good. So I'll say I can go up to 3 minutes. The new ones that they have at our gym are like colder than the old ones. And I'm like a minute and a half. I feel so wimpy, but it's so freaking cold. But they get out and then they kind of sit in the dry sauna, which is what I do immediately after too. Very nice. But Sai is just telling Jessel that she feels like she is mellowing, she is zen, she is in therapy, but that her and Brynn still have their beef. And that Brynn has not tried to reach out anything. And they were good friends. So at the reunion, Sai was the one that was like, I would like to squash the beef. And I'm sorry. And then Brynn was like, I'm good. I have lots of friends. I have thousands of friends. That's what she said. Is this like Ramona? Like when she turns 65 on the show, she's going to have 65 of her closest girlfriends at her party. Or how old was Ramona? 60? I don't know. I don't want to age shame. But that was a little weird. I don't remember that from the reunion last season, but that was a little sting because they were really close. But then Jenna is telling Jessel and Brynn that Sai is like apparently going around talking shit. And Brynn is like stirring that pot. But I think that's why Jenna and Brynn are close. I think they're secret pot stirrers together. Actually, Brynn isn't a secret. Jenna's the secret. I had to take a sip of water. Jenna is like coming out of the woodwork being the secret pot stirrer because she's not confrontational and she's like quiet when she talks and she's shy a little bit. But she's a pot stirrer too because she doesn't know for a fact that Sai said this stuff and she's spreading it around. But then we meet the new housewife, and wouldn't you know, her name is Raquel. That name is just scarred emotionally forever for me in the Bravo universe. So we got Raquel, the new housewife, who knows Jenna. She is an art curator and she does modeling. So that seems fun. She seems fun. She seems like she's going to be a good addition. I'm glad because she seems like she'll voice her opinion. Rebecca Minkoff, I'm glad she's around. She's not a full-time, so she's like a friend. This woman, full-time, she's in the cast photo. She's got her own slide. I think she's going to be a little more boisterous than Rebecca Minkoff. So good decision making this one full time. And Rebecca just like the little friend. But they said they both met in 2012 and they were both going through their divorces with men and both coming out as now lesbians. So that is crazy that we have somebody else on the show that is like the same story as Jenna. But then we have Jenna like trying on all these clothes with her girlfriend's mom. And it's funny. She's like, should I keep these shoes? Her closet could be like a curated museum. I mean, because she's in the fashion industry, she gets all this stuff. Because last season she did a clean out of the closet too. And it's like, oh my God, like all this stuff is. I don't want to get rid of my like random t-shirts I have. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, I could probably wear this plain black t-shirt and it still fits. She's like getting rid of gowns, like crazy expensive, rare, one of a kind stuff. Just crazy. Just so crazy. But then Erin and her husband and kids go to Serendipity. And I have to say, I was so glad to see this on the screen that people still go here because I am obsessed with that frozen hot chocolate. And Erin got it spiked, which sounds yummy. But when I was pregnant, I bought the container mix of the frozen hot chocolate and I would make it as my little treat and put the whipped cream on it and drink it just all by myself here at our house because it is so good. If no one has ever had it and or they cannot go to New York to get it in person, I just got it online. It's Serendipity and it's the frozen hot chocolate. So it's just powder and you mix it with milk and it's so hard to describe the way it just like it is frozen hot chocolate. It is so good because I love hot chocolate, but sometimes we don't want it hot. This is just amazing. But they just recently moved and they are talking about moving again, which has to be wild out there because, again, we know these people are not physically doing all the heavy lifting of moving, but moving is annoying because you do have to go through your stuff. And moving is really annoying with children. And they have 3 children. So that has to be super annoying. No matter all the help you have, annoying. But it would be to this townhouse. So they used to live 2-level apartment. Now they're in a 1-level apartment. And the townhouse would be 3 levels. So obviously a lot more room for them. And their one son was like, yeah, our new apartment's small. And Erin's like, okay, it's actually really not small, but it's just 1 floor of living. And she said it's a little smaller, but they have like a giant outside space, which is rare out there. And then big open like windows. So that makes it feel bigger too. Like even though physically inside, if it's not bigger, just having those big windows and that view. Like that's why I thought Lindsay and Carl's apartment was gorgeous when they got it. And I totally see and understand why Lindsay stayed in it because getting that big of a space and a big outside space with like a deck so you could feel like a person and go outside alone instead of roaming the streets with thousands of people in New York is huge. I mean, some people, they can't even open their window in their apartment. So having a whole deck that you could step out on and like enjoy yourself on, definitely rare finding. But he said that there's a creepy mural. The husband said there's a creepy mural in the townhouse. And Erin's like, yeah, would you be comfortable with that creepy mural? I don't know if I would on the ceiling. Obviously, they're going to gut the whole entire house. And then Abe says, yeah, or we could just take mushrooms, just trip out and look at it. She like flips out, which was weird. And she's like, don't say that. And he's like, what's the big deal? And their kids walked away, by the way. So it's not like she can even use the excuse of, oh, don't say stuff like that in front of our kids. And she said in the confessional, it's one thing to talk about that with friends, but to say it on the camera is another. I didn't like she said that. It's like, I'm sorry, are you writing him a screenplay and script on what to and not say on camera? Because this is called The Real Housewives. It's supposed to be reality TV. I don't like that. Don't say that. And I'm not going to lie. I'm sure all these people go over it with their spouses. Look, when the camera comes in, make sure you don't say this, don't do that, blah, blah, blah. But to actually say it and confess on camera, oh, I don't like that he said that on camera. That's weird. I can already tell there is something happening with them. And we did see at the end of with like the long preview of the season, there's going to be something that happens between her and Abe. And he's like, I'm just annoyed that you think you can control my words. And then he said something is underlying and happening with Erin. And then in the confessional, and then in her confessional, she's like, I'm not ready to talk about what's bothering me. But just like, yeah. I'm like, oh, what is it? Like, do we think he cheated on her? That would be wild. I don't know. But whatever it is, the least of her worries will be him hypothetically talking about taking mushrooms and looking at some ugly painting on the ceiling if he cheated or has a secret family or something of that nature, because that's going to be on camera. So that's a lot worse than him talking about this. But then all the ladies get together at this rooftop bar. It's called like Fleur, whatever. It's so cute. Jenna looks like a vagina. I'm just going to say it. And she said it later at the end of the episode. Her dress, maybe she should have gotten rid of that one when she was cleaning the closet out, because it's not hitting right. It is so weird and ugly. I don't care how much it costs. I don't care who designed it. It's ugly. Like, I don't like when people sometimes forget the fact that fashion has to be attractive. Like, some people are like, oh, but it's fashion. It's just like out of the wall, like crazy. And it's like, no, it still actually has to be cute. And that's not cute. I'm sorry. But then the bartender walked away for a little bit at one point, and Abe sub-bartended, and he sucked. He put cherry juice instead of olive juice in Sai's martini. And that's just a no. We need to fire him. It looked like Kalamata olives for a second, because I was like, ew, why is that even up there? And she was like, do you have more olive juice? Because he used the rest of it. And he went, actually, that's cherry juice. The bartender was probably like, all of you idiots, get out of my space. I was running to go get more olive juice since you drunks are drinking all the olive juice. But then everyone is obviously going to move around from couch to couch, from seat to seat, start the drama of the season. So Sai said Brynn loves to stir the pot, plant the seeds to everyone that they all talk about each other, which somebody kind of always has to do it, take one for the team on every show. And I will say, if it's going to be on camera, I don't fault Brynn for saying, oh, well, I'm just saying what was already done on camera and having this conversation. But I think there was a lot of drama off-season, non-filming that Sai is referring to. So Erin pulls Jessel and Jenna aside to clear up the whole story about Erin claiming that Jenna was poor, which I don't think she said that. And she said that Brynn likes to take a truth and then twist it around and then manipulate it. And I really think she was just teasing about the Uber and her not paying her back. And she's like, obviously, I don't think that you are poor. And she's like, and that's not what I said. But I feel like Jenna is stuck between a rock and a hard place, because she wants to believe Brynn because they are close and she likes Brynn. But Erin is sitting there literally saying, I didn't say that. Like, why would you even think I think that? Because I agree. That is so goofy. Like, no one thinks that Jenna Lyons, who probably has the biggest apartment on the show and $5 million worth of clothing and shoes, that she's poor. Because guess what? If she was having money problems, just sell all that clothes and this vagina dress. It's probably very expensive. But then Brynn comes over to get into the argument. And Erin goes, ugh. She makes like a noise. She's like, I don't want to talk to you. And Brynn's like, why did you make that sign? She's like, because I just don't want to be around you. And she's like, I don't want to talk to someone and make up your lies. So it was a little heated the first episode. So then, of course, Sai comes over, talk to everyone. And Sai's zen and mellow self kind of went out the door. She is saying that Brynn just loves to stir the pot. And she said that she is a narcissist and that she doesn't even know why she's doing all this. And then she gets up and she's like, you know what? Not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan.
I mean, why is everyone saying that on The Housewives? Gina said it. Sai is now saying it. I feel other people have said it, but it was just so funny when she said that. But then Brynn leaves. So we get a storm off first episode in, and then Uba comes in. She's like, oh, hi, everyone. What did I miss? It's like, you missed a lot, girl, because everyone's mad at each other and we're just on the first episode. So we're going to take a little break and then we will get into the recap of The Real Housewives of Orange County. To all my listeners out there, it's not just the Bravo celebrities that want to look beautiful. We do too. Head on over to Studio One Salon for the most amazing extensions, cut, color, or even just a nice shampoo and blowout. Or when you go out with all your friends to talk about all the latest Bravo tea. Use my code BRAVOT with a stay-at-home mom to enjoy 10% off. And we're back. So we are picking back up in Orange County with Tamara storming off out of Katie's house. And Tamara is just telling Katie, because Katie follows her out to the car. And she's like, I just can't listen to him anymore. He's like, bookie and the FBI has raided his house. And Katie's like, oh no. Like, she's just like, doesn't know what to believe, I feel like, either, because Ryan is sitting there. He seems okay. We like Jen, and Tamara has a tendency to just like fly off the wall. I mean, you've had some martinis and now you're just storming out and being crazy. And then Katie comes back in and she's like, Eddie, I think Tamara's ready to go. It's like, yeah, you think? She's like literally sitting in the car, probably texting him like, get the F out here with your Nanook of the North Barefoot Dreams blanket. Just take it home if you want. Give it back to Katie. Get in the car. But Ryan, Eddie, and Jen all hug it out without Tamara. Now, isn't that interesting? So Jen recently said on Instagram that once Tamara left, they actually all had a civil conversation. I would like to see the civil conversation, to be honest. Let's just like compile the lost footage of the season. People want to watch it, Bravo. Put it on Peacock if need be. They used to do that at the end of the season, especially for the Real Housewives of New Jersey. And I always loved those episodes because they were funny. Like, it was like sometimes pointless stuff, so I understand why they left it out. But sometimes we got a couple things of like, oh, well, that would have made sense if you left that 2-minute zing in there. I mean, can we go 2 minutes over on the show? I think so. But then Emily is asking Ryan all this info, and it's just like so awkward because Ryan has to be careful what he says, because this is why I think a lot of the reason why Joe Giudice got caught, him being on TV. I'm not saying it wouldn't have perhaps caught up with him, but when these people are on TV and they are in legal lawsuits or battles, you bet your bottom dollar these lawyers or people are watching these shows, seeing the stupid stuff that comes out of their mouth. So Ryan is playing it safe. He's good. And Emily is just still digging in because she was a lawyer. Slash still is. She still practices. Not as much, though. I think Shane's now the main lawyer, even though it took him a long time to pass the bar. But Emily's like, Ryan goes to Vegas like it's his job. And he's like, yeah, well, my friend is a bookmaker. They keep saying it like that. And then they were like, isn't being a bookie legal? And he was like, yeah, in California. So it's legal in Las Vegas. And then Emily's like, what else is legal in Las Vegas? In the confessional, she's like, so you go out to Vegas to gamble, drink. Oh, prostitution. So that was funny. But yeah, I mean, he has to be careful what he says on camera. He's basically alluding that he has nothing to do with this, though, and it's his friend that's going through all of it. I beg to differ all the articles we've been reading. But maybe he's now throwing his friend under the bus for immunity, because I read that as well. But Shannon meets Heather and Katie at this outdoor furniture store because Shannon is 60 years old. Woo! So she is shopping for some new outdoor furniture, I suppose, because then she never even got anything. But she said that she wants to have tea, invite all the girls. Obviously, Alexis Jesus Jugs Bellino is not invited. And Shannon said that John definitely gave People magazine all the court stuff, which is just disgusting.
You never can win when you're dirty, honey. You never can win.
I don't know if he thinks by calling People magazine and us seeing that he's suing Shannon for money that he's claiming is owed to him, like, we're going to like him all of a sudden. Like, no one really liked you before. Like, now we really don't like you, because I'm sorry, even if he says later, we'll get into it later. I don't want to dive into him yet. We'll just talk about everything, then we'll dive in, because I have so many thoughts. It's just awful. But anyway, then Gina and Emily just talk about the dinner. So Emily comes over and we actually get a sneak peek of all the redesigned rooms in the townhouse. And there's like this fire pole that was installed in the daughter and son's room. So they share a room, and it's like bunk beds and then like a desk underneath. So there's like a pole and a ladder for them to get down, and then they're pretending to like pole dance. Not really pole dance, just like slowly slide down the pole. And Emily's like, can there be like a geriatric strip club? Like, you need to take some Tylenol for your back and then strip. But Emily was just saying how Tamara was really like explosive at the dinner. And Gina was like, you can't have 3 martinis and call people a little bitch, which I agree, because Tamara is nailing Shannon to the cross about her drinking. I mean, don't get me wrong, Shannon got a DUI, so a little different, but you're saying she's having bad behavior while she's drinking. Well, you get into like crazy erratic behavior when you're drinking. So it's kind of tit for tat, kind of the same thing. Gina said that she has to talk to Heather, though, because she got like a weird message from her, because the night of the pants issue, that's what I'm going to call it, Pantgate. The night of Pantgate, Gina left with Emily to be a supportive friend. And obviously, I guess Heather is having a problem with that. I don't think Heather is like crazy, manipulative, mean, but I think if people aren't seeing her side, she has to like convince them to see her side until they are on her side. And maybe she should be a lawyer in a next life, because that's basically what lawyers do. But then Emily meets up with somebody that she has helped out through the Innocence Project. He was wrongfully committed to an incident that actually his like half brother or brother did, and she helped set him free. So she's being like a Kim Kardashian, doing all that stuff. So that's wonderful. We are in the middle. I have to pivot for a minute, of watching the Menendez show on Netflix, the Monsters show. I love that stuff because we watched the Jeffrey Dahmer one. I have to say, we watched the Gypsy Rose one, which was a documentary. This is just actors playing it. But knowing what those two went through, we have 2 episodes left. Disgusting. Who cares that the parents are dead? I'm sorry. Maybe you shouldn't have done it. Maybe you should have hired people to do it, like Gypsy Rose, and then you'd only go to jail for 8 years, because they've been in jail for 35 years and are never going to get out unless there's appeals, which my husband said today. There's apparently new evidence that's going to be brought to trial in November for their stuff that will be on their side, not like against them, preventing them from getting out. But they've been in jail for 35 years, but they were molested by their father and tortured. It's disgusting. It really is. So if anyone likes to watch weird stuff like that, watch it on Netflix. We have 2 more episodes left, but it's disgusting. I mean, and a lot of people are like, oh, why'd Gypsy Rose get out of jail and they're still in jail? And people are like, oh, well, they actually killed their parents. It's like, oh, okay, so they should have just paid or hired somebody or gotten a friend to do it, and then they'd only be there for 8 years. Like, I don't think either situation is wrong. I felt for Gypsy Rose watching that too. That was terrible. She was tortured by her mom, getting all those medical procedures she didn't need, which was so weird. But these boys were molested by their father. That is awful. That is just so disgusting and awful. And I feel bad that they've been sitting in jail for 35 years, to be honest. So maybe we could get Emily on the Innocence Project onto them, because that's what made me think about it, because their case is one that I want to become a lawyer and bust them out of jail, because I feel like what they went through, I don't even know how people sat on that jury and went, no, yeah, that's cool, your parents did that to you, because the mom knew all along, by the way. So she is just as guilty by association. It's wild. You guys have to watch that though. But on to recapping these crazy ladies. So Katie and her family go to this Korean barbecue pot place. So I've never been to one of these, but there's one here. But it's like a chain, so I don't really know. I'd rather go to like an authentic one that I feel like they probably went to. They're going to go to Korea for Katie's 40th birthday. So just thinking of the age gap is like wild. Like Shannon is 60 and Katie is 40. Crazy. How the tides turn. That's when they slowly ease the OGs out and get these newbies on. And I do like Katie a lot. But she wants to go to Korea to meet her biological mother because she was adopted and she never was raised really with Korean like values and the talking and everything, like the language, just the whole getup. But her daughter taught herself Korean and she actually corrects Katie, which is funny. So when they were like ordering off the menu, she's like, no, that's not how you say that. But she's like, what is everyone excited to see when we're there? And her daughter was like, I'm excited to go to Hello Kitty World. And I was like, oh my God, can you take me to Hello Kitty World? Because I love Hello Kitty. And now my daughters like Hello Kitty. So I give them all my Hello Kitty stuff. Love Hello Kitty. All my friends till this day, we are 33. They all say to me, when I see something that's Hello Kitty, I immediately think of you. And that makes me love them. I just love Hello Kitty. Like, that was my pencil box. I still was buying it in college. I bought like this weird gumball machine in college and it was in my apartment because I was just like, I love Hello Kitty so much. But the ladies all meet up for Shannon's tea party. And as soon as Heather walks in, she wants to talk to Emily alone. And she was like, no. But it's like, can you relax? Like, we all just got here and we're here for Shannon's birthday. It's not about you, Heather. We know you sometimes can't grasp that, but this is not about you. So just relax. But they do end up getting up and talking alone. And I feel like it's because Heather didn't want to make it a topic at the table, which is polite in a form, but coming in right away and saying that, it was giving me Jacqueline vibes that season of Jersey when she came in right away and was like to Teresa, Melissa, I want to talk to each of you one-on-one. I don't want you to be in the same room. Like, it was like she was just coming in guns a-blazing. But then Tamara says to Jen, I apologize. But Jen is like just kind of sitting there and she's like, I'm exhausted from this with Tamara in the confessional. She's like, she'll like drink and then like run her mouth and then the next day wants to be fine. Like, maybe Tamara's a little bipolar. I don't think she's bipolar though. I think she's camera bipolar maybe. But I agree with Jen. It's like they are on an up and down roller coaster. And it's one thing for Tamara to not like Ryan, but at the end of the day, it's going to be Jen's problem. And I feel like Tamara is not doing it to look out for Jen. Like, oh, we're best friends. I just have to tell you how awful he is, because I would understand that. It's just like, I'm just using you as the ragdoll drama for the season and kind of dragging you like around in my car. Like, I've tied you to the bumper of my car and I'm just driving you around and going over and over again with the same thing with you, beating a dead horse. But then Emily breaks down again with Heather, and Heather is reacting better this time. This is the reaction I wanted from Heather to begin with. Like, she's like, I think you are amazing. And she's like, the reason I gave you and Alexis the same dress is because you both are tall and are like curvy. But it's like, I get it. Like, can you not give them the same dress? Like Emily said, they were hanging there. One's a size 2, one's a size 12. Automatically not nice. I can't wait to see, like I've already said, at the reunion, because they're having a nice little conversation here right now. But Heather, have fun explaining yourself to Emily at the reunion when she watches you say, just to let everyone know, it was a size 12 and it was too small for her. Oh, good luck with that, honey. Good luck. But then Shannon arrives and she's wearing this like black, like tweed Chanel-esque kind of dress, like little black feathers on the like arms. And she says, I want everyone to open this gift that I got them. So it's these gold boxes. And in it is like the little London like telephone, like red box where everyone makes their telephone calls. And she said, we are going to London. And she like rips open her coat and under it is like this sparkly, it was giving me Ginger Spice from the Spice Girls, like that dress she used to wear with the sequins. And it is the British flag. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to London. So all the ladies every year get to pick a trip, and it's Shannon's turn, and she's picking London. And then she's opening up her gifts, and Heather gets her a pair of Hermes sandals. And Emily goes, oh, we all like Hermes, but she likes Ferragamo too. And obviously that was a dig at the loafers that she got John. And Shannon's like, I showed Gina that receipt. And they flash back to it. And it's like her bank statement. And she's like, Valentine's Day, see, there they are. And it's like, Shannon is me. I get why she's doing that, because he is saying she's full of shit and that she doesn't buy him anything or she didn't do this, that. Well, now since you're in a legal battle, what her lawyer probably said is go home, print out your bank statements, highlight anything on it that you spent money on him or his kids, and we will say that. Because she said she paid for like a whole freaking trip for his daughter or something, for her daughter, for all of them to go on. So it's like, it's kind of like, look, you gave me the money, but like, let's just call it a wash because we were dating and I gave you money and or bought us things. It's like, do we need to tip for tat? It's a little annoying. It's a little crazy. And I'm not going to lie, I would do that too. I would highlight shit and be like, there's the receipt for me buying him those stupid ass shoes. So then a very giant, very expensive looking flower arrangement comes to the table. And you want to know who it's from?
You are psychotic, Jesus Jugs. You're psychotic.
Good old Jesus Jugs, Alexis Bellino, isn't invited to this lunch because Shannon doesn't want to be around her. But she is like a little gnat that flies around our faces. She can't get away from trying to be included. And she has sent, it's like orchids and then these olive branches popping out. And it's like, I just want to extend the olive branch and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, your boyfriend is suing her. She doesn't want to be friends with you. I really don't think anyone on this cast likes you except Tamra fake likes you. Heather claims she's your friend. Katie and Jen just got here, and Emily and Gina don't like you. I wouldn't like you either if I was on this show. Even before she's doing all this to Shannon, I find Alexis annoying. She's annoying back then. She's annoying now. But now it's just obviously not conducive for her to insert herself in this group and think it's going to be accepted. Like, she's like delusional. She's just so crazy that she thinks her and Shannon can move past this. If you're so butthurt about this, maybe you need to talk to Johnny J over there up in his Ivy Tower controlling everybody and say, don't sue Shannon. I have to be on TV with her. Just get over the $70,000, $75,000, whatever it was. Like, you're apparently so rich. Who cares? Who cares? But then Shannon said she pre-wrote a text to Alexis that said, hello, Alexis. This is Shannon Bedore. I just want to let you know I am hosting a trip to Europe with my friends and you are not invited. If that is not the best text message Shannon could write, she's the MVP of the season for me just for that, because get it, girl. Like, you want to make it known, I'm hosting this trip. I'm on the show. You are not. You cannot come. You are not invited. Don't come. Get away from me. Like, you would think Alexis wouldn't want to be around Shannon. Her boyfriend's suing her. Usually lawyers are like, don't be around these people. It's just crazy. But now, this is really funny because Tamra says, in the confessional, sorry, it was like brain fart for a second. In Tamra's confessional, she said, why can't Alexis just send Shannon flowers to be nice? Well, and she's like, and get over it. Well, Tamra, that's so funny because fast forward to now, I guess Ryan should just send you flowers or vice versa. You send Ryan flowers and he just get over it and he shouldn't sue you, because that's what's same thing is like happening now with her. She's now in a lawsuit with somebody that she's on the show with, significant other. So Shannon is on the show, half-ass on the show, because Alexis really isn't a cast member, on the show with Alexis, and her person is suing Shannon that used to be Shannon's person, which makes it awkward, but it's just crazy. And I love that Emily said, like, everyone's like, oh no, that's harsh, Shannon, don't send it. And it's like Shannon's sitting there and she's like, why don't you people understand? She's crazy. And she wants to insert herself to push me away. Cause I already said that. I think she's trying to insert herself because she thinks Shannon will quit. And then that'll be the end of it. And then all of a sudden, Alexis is going to like take her place, which I definitely don't think that will happen and or anyone wants that to happen. So
Not today, Satan.
but Emily's like, no, I think you should send it. That I would be Emily. I mean, I don't see how people aren't seeing that she is just so desperate to bother Shannon. Like Shannon is actually saying she wants to carry on with her life. And she's the one that, did not invite her to this birthday party. But it's like Alexis is upset. She's not invited to her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, whom he's suing's birthday party. Like, what planet are you on? It is just so crazy to me. So I kind of don't like that everyone isn't like, oh yeah, she's delusional. Like instead they're like, oh, don't send that text. It's a little harsh. No, it's not, bitch. Me and Emily would get along peachy keen, I think, out of everyone on the cast. I think we would sit there, we'd have a good time. We'd make fun of people right to their faces. We would say shit like that. Like, nah, send it, girl. You get it. It's your birthday. This fugly arrangement. The arrangement was so weird. Like it's like orchids and olive branches. Those don't go together. But she's like specifically told the florist, like, please put an olive branch because she is just like ignoring me and I'm dating her ex-boyfriend. And I think it's just because she's jealous because, we have sex 4 times a day. I'm sure they like never even had sex. But now he's like suing her for money. And I could just literally imagine her having that quote unquote combo with the florist. And he'd be like, what's going on? I don't care. Give me my money. Give me my money, Alexis, and shut up. So then Katie and Jen go over to Alexis's house. And this is what I mean by she's just like trying so hard. Like even her greeting them at the door was so try hard and so annoying. She reminded me of the scene in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Hello!
Like that's literally what she sounded like. She's like, oh my God, I'm so excited. You guys are here. Blah. It's like, girl, stop drinking those Red Bulls. Like she said she stopped drinking coffee because she didn't like how it made her felt. But then she's like, but then I switched to Red Bull. It's like, no, you need like Ritalin to calm down and stop. You don't need Red Bull. If you don't need coffee, you don't need Red Bull, goofy. But her face looks like so puffy, like she's been crying, which is like so weird. It's like, are you crying that you weren't invited to Shannon's birthday party? It's so weird. So she says to Katie and Jen, okay, so why can't we just all move on? And I think they're sitting there being like, are you brain dead? And then we get what we never wanted to be on our screen. We got a confessional from John Jansen, aka Johnny J, and Jesus Jugs, Alexis Bellino, together. Oh my God, seeing them on the TV was just like, no one asked for this. No one wants this. Go back to sending the articles to People magazine from your Ivy Tower. He said in the confessional, he has text messages saying to Shannon that money is a loan, that he can prove that she even like responded back acknowledging it was a loan. So that does change things a little bit for me, just a little bit. But he still should have made her sign a promissory note or a payment plan, in my opinion, because then this would be so cut and dry, so easy. The fact that it's just text messages is going to be a little hairy. The judge still could award him that, I will say, but I don't know. I'm repulsed by him and Alexis. And Shannon is saying like this was never a loan. So I don't know who's lying. I don't know. But seeing the two of them in the confessional.
Shut up. Shut up.
I just didn't want to see it. And him saying that he has text messages of all that. But I don't know. I don't know if I could get behind that. I don't know at this point who was lying. I just feel like he's icky, and the fact he's like suing a woman just gives me the ick as well, let alone someone he used to date that's just a no for me. But then Alexis like realizes that Katie and Jen are like not on her side. And they were like, well, Shannon is hosting this trip and she said she doesn't want you to come. And you need to understand that, like, maybe we need to all distance ourselves and just all hang out like separately. She gets up. She says she's done. And I'm like, is she talking to the camera crew or the girls? She literally kicks them out of her house. I mean, she's acting like they've been best friends for 30 years, let alone everyone on the show. And she's acting like she's a full-time cast member and she has like the right to be on this trip. You're not on this show. They don't have to include you in shit. And most of these people don't even like you. Like when you were gone the first time, I never saw you hang out with Tamara and Heather. So it was like news to me. Heather's like your friend. I think they maybe recently were talking before this show because of the common denominator they have with their children being a part of the LGBTQ plus community. That's the only thing I could see. But Tamara's just totally doing this to get back at Shannon and being mean. I just couldn't get over it. And then they're like shut out of the house. And Katie and Jen are like, I've never been kicked out from somewhere. And Jen's like, oh, wait, just kidding. I did get evicted from my house. I was like, yeah, wait, girl. I think you definitely got kicked out of a house, but not in the same way, not by like a friend. And I mean, Alexis, it's like, you're not friends with them. Like, why are you being mean? And I'm glad that Katie and Jen said, maybe we just need to like separate it. Because it's like, are you getting the clue? Do you realize that like this isn't healthy? Shannon is setting healthy boundaries, but like you want to come on this trip and then what? Talk about the lawsuit so she can maybe like jump off of like that giant Ferris wheel that's in London. Like, no, it's just wild. I'm hoping this is kind of the last we see of her. I don't remember what else is really going to happen the rest of the season. The trip is going to be interesting. It looks like Shannon and Tam are getting a big fight per usual. But what do you guys think about Alexis? I mean, is she crazy or is Shannon being like too much? I would be Shannon right now in this situation, like dead serious. And Alexis read the text message to Katie and Jen, so she ended up sending it. And they were like sitting there saying like, yeah, well, we understand. Like, girl. And like Bravo's probably like, we don't want to pay for you to go anyway. Like, sayonara, Jesus Jugs.
As always, this was so fun, and you could find me on Instagram at Bravo T with the Stay at Home Mom, Spotify, and Apple. Till next time, see ya.